Throughout time, there have been new technological advancements that have always changed the way that we've done things. TVs replaced radios. Now we all use the internet to communicate and basically do anything, to the point where, similar to how things like shelter, food, water are basic needs, at this point, to exist and be a productive member of modern society, having an internet connection and capability of using it is basically a necessity at this point as well. And while it's true that there have always been people that have kind of pushed back on new ideas, new innovations in technology and such, a lot of it has been misguided and kind of just that fear of the unknown, as I've talked about before. When it comes to things like I don't really know where I stand on it. Yeah. Hey everyone, my name's Christian Verstappen, and I have a lot to say about many things. I want to talk about AI. So I think a good place to start with this is to just kind of mention that I don't have an issue with it on the basis of, like AI upscaled old movies or something like that. And we're going to look at a few examples here of stuff that I think is actually kind of cool, and we're also going to look at some stuff that's pretty pretty dystopian, in all honesty. One of my best friends actually is writing the code for ChatGPT, and while I think it's not great how a lot of people unironically use ChatGPT for everything, like you have kids using it to not only come up with like writing prompts and stuff like that, but entirely come up with new or like write papers for them. My therapist that I used to have told me that he had a client who was supposed to like do an apology to the people that he'd hurt before. Um, and they wrote out their apology using ChatGPT, which of course completely defeats the purpose. So a lot of this stuff is just dystopian. You got people trying to use ChatGPT for like, pickup lines and all kind of things like that. And while I understand it from a perspective of like, here maybe it'll give some ideas and help with writer's block and stuff like that, I can see that kind of thing being beneficial. Like, okay, say for example, maybe I'm writing a song or I'm trying to come up with something, a video for something, right? And I would be stuck on a lyric or stuck on an idea or how I wanted to present something. So I decided to use ChatGPT or some other form of AI to help me come up with an idea. I think that's fine, but I think it's really only fine if you're doing it as like the baseline, like here's the idea, and then now like an actual human runs with that idea. And that idea of like, you know, uh, the human element of this, I think, is going to come in a lot of play here, and we'll get to it a little bit more as we continue on here. But um, so my point with all this is that I'm very conflicted on like the use of AI. One of my main things on it is when it comes to like artistic stuff, I think it's fine if someone's like using it for themselves or like just like a fun thing or whatever. Like, I don't know. Well, we're going to look at some examples of that actually in a minute here. But when it's used to replace actual artists or models or actors or writers or anything like that, photographers, that's when I take issue with. And we're going to take a look at some of that in a moment here. We're seeing ads now. I wanted to find this ad that I saw the other day where a person was holding up an AI, or they were like holding a medication, and you could tell it was AI. And we'll get to that in a minute here of how like you can tell, but it's getting to the point where you won't be able to tell anymore. Anyway, with all that in mind, let's get into first. Let's kind of okay, let's get in. All right, you know what? Let's get into an example of something that I think is actually a fun way, like a fun way to go about using AI. We're gonna kind of bounce around a little bit here, looking at kind of the fun stuff I'm okay with, and the more dystopian stuff that I'm like, absolutely not. This is horrific. So, first example we're gonna look at is I saw this years like a year or two ago, and I thought it was really cool, and I wanted to talk about it, but I never like had the right, I guess, I couldn't figure out whatever. Point is, we're gonna look at it now. It's okay, that's awesome. Hang on a minute. All right, it's Jesus. Creating self-aware Lara Croft that plays Tomb Raider. So the gist of it, I'm not going to get into all the specifics, but basically this person goes through how they made AI to basically make uh the PS1 Lara Croft, from Tomb Raider, like act as if it was actually her, like in the mansion and in the levels and all that stuff. And it's weird because like she's so self-aware that she's like, oh, I can tell I'm in a video game essentially. So it's weird, but it's fascinating. And this is an example where I think AI is fine because it couldn't be done otherwise. So let me show you what I'm talking about here.
Once again, observe human players. When we discover a game,
Also, the person clearly used AI for their voice as well, and this is another huge issue that I have, where a lot of people will. You know what? Okay, we're gonna look at some more examples in a minute here. We're gonna look at some examples in a little bit here as well about how like there have been people that have done like these mini reviews of like movies and stuff where it's all AI and it's so awful. It's like just speak at least. You can tell there's like no emotion or anything. It's awful. But anyway, let's get into let's continue on with this like good example here. So what this guy's like how they're talking and stuff isn't the part that impresses me. It's you'll see.
we tend to achieve this.
Okay.
I trained the robot by saving its actions
All right. So they get into basically like how they made their personality. They made it talk and like everything like Laura is supposed to do. And I don't really care about the technical stuff, but I do want to show you the final result because this is actually really impressive to me.
everything that has been
Result. Okay.
previously. The robot took about 18 minutes to complete.
Don't care.
I find myself trapped behind. Okay.
So this is after the first. This is like the first level of the game, and you'll see.
Okay, the adventure is off to a bad start. My guide just got killed by wolves, and I find myself trapped behind this door. To make matters worse, I left my jacket and grappling hook outside. Fortunately, I still have my pistols and backpack, but it only contains a compass. I should move quickly if I don't want to freeze in place. Let's assess the situation. These wolves were waiting here before I opened the door, which means these tracks must lead to a habitat large enough for them to survive.
So you can tell like she's clearly like talking about the game and stuff, and like
Music coming from? I jumped myself. Gosh, it's slippery. I almost hurt myself. What's happening? Where is this music coming from? I jumped. What kind of person leaves their trash lying around in a place like this? A medipack? It will be useful if I have to stay here for a while. My goodness, it's freezing. I need to get back on the trail of the wolves. Let's move. It's not obvious, but on closer inspection, it looks like a wolf was walking backwards. Strange. Video game? Is someone watching me right now? Another medipack. What is it? A video game? Is someone watching me right now?
right. So you get the idea, right? Like she's self-aware. She's talking like, and it's supposed to be like actually Laura like playing the game herself. She's figuring the things out as the game goes, all this different stuff, and I think it's just fascinating. Now, I do want to point out there have been videos that have come out since this that have basically debunked the idea that this is AI and that, well, it's not actually AI. So if it's not, then that just kind of furthers my point, I guess, that, you know, this wasn't even done with AI. So, but here's the thing, right? Someone took the time to take all of these pieces and make this thing of AI that could not have existed before. When it comes to this kind of character stuff, or like you'll have those things of like some superhero character or whatever like talks to you or something, I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with is people like okay, I'm fine with it as long as people are like realizing that this isn't real. Obviously, like these characters aren't actually talking to you; they're not actually there. Um, but when people are using character AIs to like, you know, try to have like an actual relationship with them or something like that, I think that like that's where it gets to be really unhinged, because that's where it's just completely not real and it's just like insane. But we're, like I said, we're going to kind of bounce around here. Let me show you real quick the example of what I was talking about for like an AI review. When I was watching uh so I remember finding these. Let me see if I can find, not mini review. Let's see here. Oops, if I could spell. So whenever I watch a movie or TV show, comic, or read a comic, whatever it is, oftentimes I normally try to like watch reviews of what I've seen to kind of see what other people think about it, and I do this like pretty far in advance from when I actually do my own reviews, because I don't want it clouding my judgment too much and like just like parroting them or whatever. But after I watched Indecent Proposal, which was a really good movie, and I'm definitely going to do a review on that. There was I found a review which was like clearly AI. I can't find, where is where is it? Of course, now that I'm trying to find it, I can't fucking find it. Um, I mean, I guess like I guess I can. So like, we're not going to get into them. We'll get into the things I'm okay with here a little bit more. Um, there are people that do like these 50s versions of iconic movies or shows or whatever. I'm fine with this kind of stuff. Also, like, let's be clear, these very much are like, you know, sexy pinup um female versions of like, or versions of the female characters from these iconic movies and stuff. And like, I don't mind these kind of things because again, like, it wouldn't have existed otherwise. So I'm kind of okay with like AI for that kind of stuff. I don't really think it's that much different from like Photoshop or something. Um and but what I have an issue with, should we, no, we'll get back to that. What I have an issue with are things like this.
A girl told me we're made of prompts. Like, seriously, dude. You're saying the only thing standing between me and $1 billion is some random text?
Honestly, the biggest red flag is when the guy believes in the prompt theory. Like, really? We came from prompts?
Like, let's be clear. I'm sure many of you watching this, and like I myself can tell this is AI. As you really like pay attention, you can tell the voice is kind of tinny. You can see like there's this girl right here. When she moves her hand,
Imagine you're in
like,
the middle of a
okay, like again, you can hear the tinniness in her voice.
nice date with a handsome man, and then he brings up the prompt theory. Yuck.
And you can kind of tell, like, her hand doesn't quite look right, his hand. Like, hands are a big one that AI struggles with, which is funny because, like, artists in real life struggle with hands too, apparently. But, like, if you just, like, showed this, especially as a still image, looks pretty good.
Imagine
Ones and zeros? A binary code and nothing more? It makes no sense.
So, again, very tinny, very, like, yes, you can tell, but this shit is freaky, and it's only gonna get worse. There was that guy who he was killed, and they used AI to like bring him back so that his spirit, I guess, could like theoretically could talk to the killer, and he like forgave him and shit, and the judge was like so moved by it that he made the guy's sentence longer. I understand we all do the whole thing when a loved one dies of like, oh, well, that's what they would have wanted, that's what, you know, kind of thing, right? And we kind of like speak on their behalf based on what we know about them. But understand, you cannot bring somebody like back to life. If somebody is dead and or they're just out of your life or whatever, you can't use your memories or some coded version of them and put that into something else to make it as if it was actually still them. I feel like this is such a common trope in like sci-fi and maybe even like some like mythological horror stuff or whatever, that this concept has like been done before, and it's, you know, the message is always that like it's not real, like it's not really them, you gotta let go. But I mean, this is like creepy.
The signs for a fact we're made of prompts. Deny it all you want. The signs are everywhere.
You know how I know we're made of prompts? Because nothing makes sense anymore. We used to have 7 fingers per hand. I remember it clearly. Now we just have 5 fingers per hand.
Yeah. No, this shit is like, this is the kind of issue, this is the kind of thing I have an issue with. And it gets even worse when we have things like this.
Panic is spreading worldwide tonight as the arrival of the unidentified vessels triggers states of emergency across every continent.
They're here! They have come for us! They're gonna kill us!
Don't look at me like that. I paid for this cheese. Also, does it matter? We're all gonna be dead anyway.
Attention. By order of the National Emergency Act, martial law is now in effect. All civilians must...
Like, I know you might see this and you might just think like, okay, well, this could just be from a movie or something. Like, what's the issue with this? Well, part of the issue is that, yeah, it looks like it could be from a movie. The other issue is that, like, when, I believe it was shortly after World War I, the guy that wrote War of the Worlds, I'm drawing a blank on this. Is it H.G. Wells, I want to say? Give me a minute here. Who wrote? Let me find this out real quick. Hello? Yeah, it was H.G. Wells. Okay. So, basically, and we're not going to use the AI thing, but there was a broadcast on Halloween in 1938. So yes, after World War I, like I guess right before World War II, where essentially H.G. Wells had, well, he didn't, but, or was it him? I don't remember if it was him that like narrated it or what happened, but essentially they did a radio broadcast about the War of the Worlds, like the book War of the Worlds, as if it was actually happening. Now, I know you might be thinking like, okay, well, but if it was happening, surely they would have seen it. They would have seen it, right? Well, no, not if it's not happening in the city, the town, whatever that you're in. And what if you're, where did it go? Oh, did I? Okay, hold, can I just, no, hold up. If you're seeing this kind of thing with like
night as the
actual broadcasting and all this stuff being looking more and more real.
First contact.
Can you? I thank you, Musk, for fucking destroying Twitter. Why is it that when I play it, the audio automatically comes back on? If I had it muted, I want it fucking muted. Piece of shit. Mute. Wait, can you only mute and unmute? You can't change the level of the volume? Are you fucking kidding me? Dude, no, I want it, like, thank you. Okay. And what, this is supposed to be an alien? Yeah, okay. So, like, but here's the thing. Imagine this level of panic and everything due to like this kind of content creation. Because it's not like when it is in a movie. And now I know with this they're not using real news stations, but imagine someone does. Imagine you're seeing this and you're seeing CNN, you're seeing Fox News, you're seeing NBC, all this stuff, and you see these people that look like real news reporters causing all of this mass panic. Beyond that, imagine yourself or any other famous person, whatever, this technology being used to make it look like somebody is doing something they aren't. Now, I understand there was that whole debacle, I think last year, maybe it was the year before, where they made it look like Taylor Swift, I think it was, on images that were put out on like Twitter or something, where like it was her, I guess, like fucking the team of the Chiefs, I guess, because that's who her husband, or I don't know if they're married or whatever, but that's like what that Travis guy is part of. And like in that instance, that was able to get taken down, and that was an issue because it was a form of revenge porn. But what happens when it's just something that's used to like denigrate somebody's reputation in some way? Or like there were people, and again, I know a lot of this is like just needing to have like internet literacy and stuff, but let me see if I can find why is it typing like this? No, okay, here. Like this shit, this was made with AI. This wasn't real. And then you have like this thing putting all, things the media forgets all about President Trump, as if he was fucking saving cats. He wasn't saving cats in any fucking flood. You kidding me? No, this was bullshit. But that's like none of it. Nothing matters. You had the Vance said when the whole like Haitians eating cats and dogs. Yeah, okay, we have like an AI thing and a Mashable thing. No, Trump did not save cats from Hurricane Harvey. No, of course not. Like, this is ridiculous. Oh, here, let me see. There you can see. Like, no, I mean, this is insane. But there was that thing where Vance said like, oh yeah, so we had to, we used AI to make some fake stories about the what was it called? The Haitians eating the cats and dogs. Like, that's fine, if that's how we have to get the message out. Dude, you got the message out by lying. If you have to get the message out by lying, your message is a lie. Like, what are you just admitted you lied, And the reality is, I feel like a lot of you guys, like, who the problem with this kind of stuff is I feel like when people like me talk about this, we're preaching to the choir. Because I feel like a lot of you guys are more than well aware of how damaging this is, or to an extent how to like notice when something is clearly AI and not to fall for it and stuff like that. But a lot of people, especially older people that are not internet literate at all, fall for this shit all the time. I had this thing where I was like, my mom was going through images, and this was actually during like that whole event, and I don't remember if I think, yeah, the way I saw that was like she showed me that, and I was like, that's not real, right? It's like, what do you mean? I was like, that's AI, and I had to like explain to her what AI meant and everything. You have to understand, like, a large block of the voting population are, let's be honest here, uninformed or misinformed older people. And people are totally fine with these people just being completely misinformed. We are approaching dystopian levels where information, especially on the internet, like this, is just not valid anymore. Now, we're going to look at some examples after that darker twist of like things that I'm kind of okay with AI being used for. When it's used for something like there's this I guess Drake Bell fan channel where what they did. I wonder if you can get a better image. Oops, I did it backwards. Whatever. Oops. God damn it. No, it doesn't really change anything. Okay. Well, I mean, kind of. Whatever. You can see like this person the Backhouse Kids. They took a bunch of these songs that Drake never did acoustic and made these acoustic. And there are other things where people will take artists and they'll like make it as if like this artist sang this song or whatever it is. And when it comes to stuff like that, again, personally, I don't really have an issue with it. I know a lot of people do, and I get it, but like if it's something the artist wasn't ever going to do in the first place, I'm okay with it. And here's the thing, if he or anyone else like does do acoustic versions or whatever of this, eventually like people are still going to prefer that. I'm not going to be able to play any of these for copyright reasons, but people are still like if Drake or anyone else that ever did this kind of thing wanted to put out that actual content, that would not be like, people would prefer the original content. When it comes to things like this, I'm not going to play the whole, well, yeah, I'll play the whole thing again. Well, no, we'll just do bits and pieces of it.
It is Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake?
This is a Metal Gear Solid teaser trailer, which, first of all, God, I wish it was real, but this is AI.
The man with the same code name as you. The nuclear weapons...
You can already tell that, like, this is supposed to be Colonel talking, but he doesn't... You can tell in the voice, like, it's not... something's still uncanny about it, and there still is that uncanny element of AI, but again, the concern is it's only going to get better.
Disposal facility covers the whole island. I'll instruct you by codec after you reach your target.
Right.
Anyone going with me?
As usual, this is a one-man infiltration mission.
Weapons and equipment OSP.
And here's the thing, right? So, you got like, Tom Hardy as Snake, and even as you play it, like, he constantly changes as he moves, and in some way I think there's a charm to the idea of, like, a character, like, changing as they move. Not throughout, like, the whole movie, but, like, for, it's like a artistic thing that's been done in a lot of stuff outside of AI. For stuff like this, I'm okay with this. Or when people, like, they got J.K. Simmons as Colonel, all this stuff. I don't know who this actress is, but she's supposed to be Mei Ling. But also you have this. And on one hand, like, that kind of looks cool, but on the other hand, like, that's clearly not real. You have Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Meryl Silverberg, which I don't think, or Silverberg, I guess it's pronounced, which I don't think would, I don't think now she could play Meryl, although I will say I'm glad that they eventually got the hair right and made her hair red, because first it was dark. Anyway, whatever. Point is, I don't have an issue with things like this, AI being used for things like this, as long as it's clearly shown as a fan work, it's not real, it isn't being used to, like, misguide people or whatever, right? Teaser trailer, reimagining an AI, stuff like that, right? I'm fine with that kind of stuff. I'm also fine with it when it's used for something like this. Not going to play the audio because, again, copyright, but, this is Hercules being brought to life using AI. Because this is the kind of thing where, again, I don't think it can be done without AI. The idea is you're taking this and you're kind of having this, like, oh, what if we made this look like a real person? And I think this is all actually kind of cool when it's used for things like this. Now, the argument can be made, okay, well, artists have done the whole, like, realistic Pokemon or whatever kind of thing. And you're right. But, I don't really have an issue. Like I said, I don't have an issue when it's used for things like this. And it's essentially just kind of used as another form of, like, Photoshop or something. I don't have an issue when it's used to, but let me be clear. If this was used, or that Metal Gear Solid thing was used, in place of actual actors on a, like, public commercial level, that's where I take issue with it. Personally, I think it's fine for, like, personal use, generally speaking, But when it comes to this commercials, when it's more of a commercial thing, that's what I have an issue with. Now, with all of that in mind, I do want to talk about this as well. Adam Conover, who is one of my kind of like, I guess, the first person that I started like watching their content and made me like start thinking more skeptically about things. So like Adam Conover comes from College Humor, and he did a bit on, there was a video on that channel, which was like 10 things you think are true but aren't, and some of those bits were actually turned into Adam Ruins Everything episodes. Then later, Adam got his full show where he did Adam Ruins Everything. A few of the other people from College Humor got their own show too, which was really cool. But Adam Ruins Everything was pretty good. It ended around the time, like pretty much right after or around when Trump got elected the first time. And but it was a really good show, and it was something that really kind of pointed out, like, hey, here are these things you think that are true that aren't. Like, it was just kind of dispelling misconceptions, and it kind of challenged and encouraged me to think a lot about, like, you know, how I view things like, I don't know, weight loss and marriage, for example, are examples that aren't, like, politically charged or anything like that, but are still very important, you know, I guess, and like personal to me, especially, you know, things like that, or how, like, I think the second episode, or maybe third, whatever it was, Adam Ruins Sex, was, you know, he talked about how, like, the hymen is a myth. He talked about, not a myth as in, like, it doesn't exist, but, like, for a lot of people, it is broken before even having sex. So, like, it doesn't mean, you know, a woman isn't a virgin if she doesn't have her hymen, and that has been used as a very, like, discriminatory thing against women who don't have it intact anymore for a myriad of different reasons. But you talk about these things, and ultimately how, like, in that episode, it was ultimately about how, like, we're very sex averse, like, our society. We have a lot of shame around it, and that's very true. He did this thing where he talked about how, like, you know, a lot of the little things kind of stick with me, like, don't, even if something says it's flushable, like dude wipes, for example, flushable wipes, they're not actually flushable. Like, they say they're flushable, but the material that they're made out of can actually fuck up the pipes and everything, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. So, like, little things like that, basically, that diamonds are a scam, you know, diamonds for engagement rings and all that. A lot of little things like that that Adam went over have stuck with me. I didn't know at the time that he was more left-leaning, and I was more, like, moderate right-leaning myself at the time. So, you know, but at the same time, I resonated with a lot of what he talked about, and a lot of other people did too. So recently, bringing this all back to AI, he did this video, because he kind of, like, moved stuff over to YouTube now, where he does a lot of content, where he, like, still debunks, like, different scams and stuff like that. And he's been on, like, Hassan's stream and stuff like that, and, you know, he does a lot of stuff. In general, he recently debated Tim Pool and did pretty well in that debate, from what I remember. But, yeah, so he recently, you know, he put out this video, why I became a crypto shill. And we're not going to go through the whole thing, because it's 23 minutes, but essentially, he promoted this product called the Orb. And essentially what it is it's this idea that as AI becomes more and more, like, ingrained in our society, it's going to come to a point where you have to have something that is going to distinguish you from AI, so, like, people know that you're a human. And the idea is it's supposed to, like, scan your retina here at the top. It's supposed to scan your retina and make that, like, your biological ID, I guess you could say. All these different things. And basically, this video is him kind of explaining how, like, it's terrible, and his original idea was to get paid for promoting the product and thinking that his audience could see through it. Now, whether or not that's true, or he's just coping about that, I don't know. If he just literally just took it, you know, for the money. But basically, he was called out by some people Can we like? Okay, you know what I'm sorry, real nitpick here, but like I really hate. I am here on the player, like you see where the window is, and yet I click it. Okay, now it actually is. All right, fine. Make me a liar. Um. So, like, I saw this video. No, I'm not getting orbed. Adam Conover ruins his own reputation. Um, by the way, I'm curious if you guys. I think I always read like, the text in the thumbnail before the title of the actual video. And I know sometimes I'll do things where, like, my video will be the beginning of a sentence, and then in the thumbnail will be like the end of the sentence or something like that. So I'm curious as to like if that resonates with you guys, if that kind of like throws you off or whatever. But I don't know, let me know in the comments. But this is a pretty good video, and it made me kind of worry as well. Like, is he just a regular capitalist shill now? You know, is it that kind of thing? But what Adam did here was he essentially went through and kind of debunked himself. He kind of did an Adam ruins everything on himself, where he just kind of explained that, like, no, like, this is a scam, here's why it's a scam, I didn't take the money, this is laughable even as a tech product, this is dystopian, you know, I don't support this at all. And he thanked his audience essentially for calling him out and holding him accountable, which, as people have mentioned before as well, is let me see here, the thing where is the this is fine, but aren't apologies supposed to have ukuleles? No, but what's the one? Something I saw something where they said like, yeah, I saw the Rebecca Watson video and thought that's not the Adam I know. Good on you, guy. You know it's bad when Adam isn't promoting a stand-up tour. Fair. Adam ruins himself. Oh yeah, no, that was an episode of Adam Ruins Everything where he like went back and said like, here are things we got wrong, which was also really good. And no fake tears, no real tears, no uke, and actual sincerity. Worst influencer apology ever. No, there was something where they said like, this is better, like this is what an apology video should be. Not apology, not like an apology, but like actually just taking accountability and everything. And I'm like, yeah, no, that's fucking great. But no, so it was a really, really good on that front in general, but it was also a really good way of kind of explaining that, like, yeah, where we're going with all this stuff is not good. But I think there's a silver lining in regards to the AI stuff in general. People, at the end of the day, like things that are made by other people. We all prefer things. If we know that something is AI or what have you, and then there's like another version of it that is real, actually made by the artist or whatever it might be, we are going to, as human beings, gravitate toward that other thing that is actually human. We are not going to prefer things that are created by AI. And let's be clear about this as well. AI does not create anything. Even generative AI doesn't actually generate anything. All it does is it pulls from concepts and ideas all across the internet. And I personally, I think the reason a lot of old, like, original AI stuff looked like paintings was because the first thing it stole from, and yes, I do mean stole from, was paintings like Mozart. I was gonna call, yeah, Mozart the painter. Jesus. No, like Mona Lisa and Da Vinci and, you know, stuff like that. But I think that over time, we are finding that this stuff really can't create. I mean, if you put in for it to make a prompt, it is not going to actually make a good prompt. I've dabbled with some like free AI, and you can say, well, it's free, it's not like Midjourney or whatever. Okay, so what? I've dabbled with like certain versions of AI to like make like a superhero that I've envisioned or some other fictional character or something that doesn't exist. And it can't do it. Not the way that I want it to be made. Because AI cannot create. It can only take ideas and prompts that you've given it and can make it something like what you might be thinking of. it can only really pull from ultimately stereotypes, because it pulls from such large like concepts and versions of something that it doesn't. I think, okay, in the short term, I think this is really a problem as far as replacing people. But in the long term, I think that at the end of the day, people in general prefer things that are made by people. I made this post on my channel the other day, which I hope you guys are appreciating my posts. Let me see here. Why? Okay, Okay. I saw this on Facebook the other day. This was with Meta's AI. Why can I not view the image? Why are you doing this to me? Fine. Okay. So this, are you fucking kidding me? How do I just, read more? How do I see the actual, I can't see my actual full post. What is happening here? What the fuck? Why am I not, why is it like this? Why am I not, if I go to I should be able to see the full post, right? What is happening? Why can I not see? Are you fucking kidding me right now? And dude, this is insane. Why is it not letting me see the, hang on. Okay, so I've found that the post feature is basically useless on desktop. If you go to mine, or anybody's posts for that matter, you can't actually see the full image. You can only see a snapshot of it, because clearly it's only designed for phones, because that's all fucking companies want to make shit for now. Alright, whatever. So the example here, this is the post. This is what I found on, and this was with, what's it called? Facebook's Meta AI. We have this photo shoot here that was done for, well, we'll get into the movie. Clearly this is a photo shoot done for a movie, right? This is what Meta says. The story behind the photo shoot. The photo shoot appears to be related to the movie Barbie from 2023, starring Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling. The image shows a group of friends, likely the movie's characters, having a joyful moment together. The photographer credited is Charlie Clift, and the movie is produced by A24. Now, it did get Charlie Clift and A24 right. Why did it get this right? Because this is the text. The AI didn't figure this out. The AI just took what the text was. That part's correct. The rest of it is all wrong. As I said, okay, fine. I hate this shit, man. My post? Yeah. I can't. Okay, it's not letting me pinch to zoom. Whatever. Wrong movie, wrong actors, and wrong year. Correct info is as follows. Movie, Materialists. Actors, from left to right. Chris Evans, Dakota Johnson, and Pedro Pascal. Year released, 2025. June 15th. It's not out yet. I found this with a simple search on IMDb. Meta got it laughably wrong. Yet people unironically trust AI for answers to simple stuff like this, all the way to things that are way more important, including for their work or kids using it in school for papers and such. Please tell me more how AI is the future and is incredibly trustworthy. AI, the silver lining to this, if you will. AI, artificial intelligence, is not real. Artificial intelligence, like when we think of like robots in media and stuff, that shit isn't real. I wouldn't be surprised if human intelligence is actually completely impossible to recreate. And what's really funny to me is people that seem to be on board with this are people who, let me be clear. Some of the people that I've noticed who are on board with this are more religious, which is fascinating to me because, like, isn't a soul what is supposed to be what makes us more, like, what makes us special in, like, because we were created by God and have souls and shit? Like, that's what I believed when I was religious, and that's what I would think they would believe too. Yet what I find interesting is that people who are not religious are more against AI than people who are religious, when it's like, what is a soul to you? Like, I don't know, it's insane to me. It's like, these are literally soulless machines, soulless creations that some are trying to use to replace humanity. I don't think we're ever going to have and I hope not, of course, we're ever going to have like a Terminator-style AI kind of thing. I don't think we're ever going to have a robot revolution. I don't think any of those things are going to happen. I don't think robots will ever be able to actually think for themselves. I don't think any of this stuff is real. I think a lot of it is hype, and that the AI bubble is going to burst pretty soon. But the technology is out there for people to create. And I think that there needs to be legislation on how it's used and what it's used for. I think a big part of it is just like, make it like a copyright thing, you know, where like you can create fan games, you can create fan art, you can do those different things. But when you start selling them, that's when you get into dubious territory. Do something like that. And as far as using real people's images, yeah, maybe we just shouldn't do that at all. I don't know. You know, I don't know. It's very, I don't want to be a Luddite about this, but at the same time, when we get to levels like this and this, it's dystopian as fuck, man. I mean, it's like really fucking creepy. It's, yeah. I'm fine with it for fun things like this, you know, these kind of things are fine. AI upscaling, you know, making music by an artist that never actually made that music, you know, stuff. People have done things like, here's like a Beatles AI song and stuff like that, right? When the Beatles, two of them are dead, right? I'm fine with stuff like this. Again, fan-made stuff, like whatever. But as, you know, Adam Conover pointed out, like how dystopian this stuff is getting, and I pointed out how laughably wrong AI can get stuff. We are still in that uncanny valley thing, but it's getting rough. I don't think it will ever go the way a lot of these tech bros think it's going to go or want it to go, but it's pretty scary. But I do think the silver lining is that people will always connect with and prefer things that are made by humanity for humanity above all else. So if this does become an inevitable thing that we have to deal with to an extent, I don't think it's going to be... I think that we can manage to deal with it, and I think eventually it's just going to not be this, like, big deal. That's my hope, and that might be coping, I don't know, but that's kind of my cautiously optimistic stance on it, I guess you could say. Either way, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what yours are in the comments down below. Follow me on social media for more, and stay up to date with my posts. I'm starting to actually use that and you know, trying to use that as a form of keeping you guys updated on stuff and just putting out thoughts on stuff that might not turn into a full video or whatever. So that might turn into something as well. But either way, I hope that you like this. Leave a like if you like, and if not, I hope you find something to do. Like, take care of each other out there, guys. Peace and love.